everybody. Welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, Carolina football. I know a lot of UNC fans not thrilled of late. The Tar Heels have suffered two bad losses in a row. 70-50 to James Madison is inexcusable. And then blowing a 20-0 lead midway through the third quarter at Duke and losing 21-20. Not a good 2 weeks for the program, not a good 2 weeks for Mac Brown, not a good 2 weeks for the fan base, and certainly a 2 weeks in which some of us who cover the Tar Heels had heard from a lot of you, mostly the disgruntled fans have reached out to us. Not many supporters of the regime reaching out, but I know plenty of them are out there because generally speaking, like Mac Brown said Monday, they tend to be more quiet than the ones who are dissenting and upset. The topic here that I want to hit on is something that's very simple. And ironically, I was going to do this anyway, and it came up during Mac Brown's weekly press conference on Monday over at the Keenan Football Center. And that is, could the Tar Heels finish strong? Could they reverse the trend of the last 2 years and close the season playing well? I think it's a legitimate question to ask because there are players in this team that have talent. There are players in this team that are experienced. There are a few issues that need to be fixed. One of them is going to take time, that being Jacoby Criswell meshing with the offensive line. The offensive line has to get healthy, has to stay healthy, and they've got to gel and improve. Jacoby Criswell has got to hit short passes and hit on some of the long ones. He's been really been too long on the long passes. They got to hit on a couple of those to kind of soften the defense. And they do that, teams won't play in the box as much as Duke did in the second half when they basically shut down Amari Hampton in the second half or slowed him a lot. Anyhow, so the defense that you saw for the first half at Duke was pretty good. It's the defense you saw at Minnesota. And if Cayman Rucker is back soon, and he very well could play against Pitt, that changes things. That means the blitzes they can run will be better. That means they can disguise more. You have the best defensive player on the team on the field, and he's been missing the last 4 weeks. Plus, he's the fanny slapper. He's the guy that will diplomatically get on a teammate. He's the one they all look to. It's nobody else in that defense. Nobody else. I know that Power Eccles said it was his defense in preseason. Cayman Rucker said it was. I believe if Cayman comes back this week or for the Georgia Tech game for sure, it becomes his defense immediately. And I think that's a big addition to what we've seen the last 4 weeks. Now, in order to close strong, the team has to play clubs that it can beat. So let's look at the rest of the schedule and kind of think about how this could play out. And again, I'm not screaming optimism here. That's not my job. My job is to say, hey, here's an interesting thought, and perhaps this could happen, and I'm laying it out to you guys. And, of course, I will want your takes on our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, on Twitter, @HeelIllustrated, on our Facebook page, Tar Heel Illustrated. Let us know what you think about this, and I'd like to have a lot of fun. People can project the final 7 games if you want to. That will tell us whether you think they finish strong or not. But this isn't about if they will. This is about if it's possible. Could this happen? All right, so they got Pitt this week. Panthers are 4-0, really impressive offensively. Fantastic young quarterback in Eli Holstein, a kid who transferred in from Alabama. He's throwing for 300 yards a game. They got a run game that's going for over 200. They're averaging 48 points a game. You think, oh, wow, no UNC defense can handle that. Perhaps not. They can give up maybe half that in points. They'd have to score 29, 30 points to win the game. I'm not sure if the Tar Heels can do that. So winning this weekend is going to be very difficult, but it is possible because remember, this is the ACC and crazy stuff happens. And Pat Narduzzi every year loses a game that you scratch your head, or just about every year. This could be that game, a noon, Chapel Hill, not a great crowd, not a great atmosphere. Pitt's going to have to generate its own energy and intensity. Perhaps the Tar Heels can take advantage of that. A week later, you got Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's owned the Heels the last 3 years, embarrassed them. 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, I guess it was, in Mercedes, or 3 years ago rather, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Tons of turnovers, tons of sacks. a defense that wasn't prepared for Jeff Sims, admittedly was not prepared. It was a horrific display by the Tar Heels. 2 years ago, 9-1, just beat Wake, clinched a spot in the ACC championship game, and Carolina just stunk up the joint and lost to Georgia Tech with an interim coach and a third quarterback. Last year, the Tar Heels playing pretty well. Georgia Tech runs for 244 yards in the fourth quarter, salt away the game. It was a really bad loss for Carolina. Again, another one of those losses. So it's 3 in a row. You would think at some point the Heels are going to muster up enough pride and execution that they'll beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's good, but they're not great. They could certainly be beaten. So it's possible Carolina wins that game. I would say they split the next 2. And then they go into an open date. And that's going into an open date at 4-3. This is where it gets interesting. After the open date, the Heels go to Virginia. UVA's not very good. Carolina can go up there and win that game. Maybe like 17-15, but they go up there and win. Then they go to Florida State. Florida State is an absolute train wreck. It sounds like a difficult assignment. DJU is now out. Brock Glenn is going to play. He's the one that started, I guess, the ACC championship game or certainly the bowl game when they got routed by Georgia. I don't think Florida State has a lot of wins left on the schedule. I think a Tar Heels team that is together and hasn't gone off the rails like FSU has probably now and certainly will have by then can go in there and win that game. So that's 2 wins sandwiched in between open dates because they have an open date after FSU. So after Georgia Tech, open date at UVA, at FSU, open date. That gives them 2 different open dates in a short period of time to get Jacoby Criswell caught up, so to speak, to get him into a groove, for them to learn exactly what he can and can't do. They're still in the process of doing that. Chip Lindsey said Monday, look, we're still trying to get our identity as an offense. So that gives them games and it gives them open weeks to really work on that stuff. They come out of the open date after FSU, and they host Wake Forest. Wake's the worst team in the ACC if it's not FSU. Then they go to Boston College. Now, that's a tough assignment, especially if Thomas Castellanos plays. We saw what BC looks like without him this past weekend when they barely beat Western Kentucky. Had to come from behind to beat him. So without Castellanos, Carolina has a chance. With him, I think they have a slim chance. Then they come home to finish off the regular season against NC State. This is a mediocre State team. It's not very good offensively. Carolina has all the reason and fuel in the world to rise up and win that game. They will have to match State's physicality because the Pac will bring that to Chapel Hill. But it's a very winnable game based on what we've seen from the 2 teams so far. So if they split the next 2 and they're 4-3 going into the open date, what might they be in the last 5? I think they can win at Virginia. I would favor them to win at Virginia today. I would favor them to win at Florida State today. I would favor them to beat Wake Forest today. I would not favor them up at BC, and I would favor them to beat NC State in a very close game right now. That's closing 4-1. 4-3 plus 4-1, that's 8-4. It's last season, essentially in reverse. It's possible. I think it'll take a lot of work. I think Jacoby Criswell has to get a lot better, has to be more consistent. He's got to hit those long balls. They've got to block better up front. The team cannot continue to hurt itself with penalties. They have to be better on special teams, punts blocked in consecutive weeks. That is a constant problem in this program. It must be fixed. They continue to do certain things that I don't think make sense with the punch shield. I've been very critical about that. Again, I'm not a coach. They know more than I do, but it just seems kind of logical to me because the problem keeps happening. And the defense cannot wilt at the first sign of adversity. You knew or had a feeling, some of us in the press box at Duke, when it's 20-0 and the Devils chunk their way down the field and make it 20-7, a lot of people up there saying, man, well, that has a sign of something to come, and it sure was. So those things have to all get worked out. And that's a lot to ask, but I don't think they're that far defensively with getting some of that worked out. It's so much up here. As far as the punt blocking stuff, got to get that fixed. It should be a fairly simple fix. Should be. Max said they met for an hour and a half talking about it Sunday. So we'll see. Or maybe it was Monday morning. And Criswell's going to get better. So it's possible this team goes 8-4. I'm not projecting 8-4. I'm not saying they should go 8-4. What I'm saying is they could finish strong this year after a so-so start and the complete reversal of the last two seasons. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's possible? What must occur that I haven't noted in order for that to happen if the Tar Heels are to finish strong? I know someone will say offensive line, got to pass protect better. I agree. 19 hurries by Duke last Saturday. That can't happen. That's not winning football. But there were a lot of things the last 2 weeks that were not winning football. They know it. They have to fix it, and they have the talent to fix it. The question is, does the staff get that across to the players and get it fixed? That's the question moving forward, and that will determine whether or not this team closes strong or doesn't close strong. Let me know what you guys think. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. Make sure you tell all of your Tar Heel friends that we are here. Let them know we're here. Not everybody who follows UNC knows who we are just yet, so let them know we're here. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get updates every time we upload. And make sure you come back tomorrow because I'm talking hoops tomorrow. I'm AJ. I appreciate you stopping by.